Venom Let There Be Carnage's ending and post-credit scene explained. Brock, let the Venom in. That's exactly what fans of Sony's deeply silly, over-the-top Marvel Comics superhero saga said this weekend in unison as Venom Let There Be Carnage finally hit theaters. It's been a lifetime. This time around, San Francisco's lethal protector went gooey alien toe to gooey alien toe with one of his most iconic villains and or his erstwhile son, Carnage.
That is a red one! You need to come out right now.
The result was a genuinely bonkers, violent rom-com full of chickens, mayhem, and murders most foul. And while you can read our full review over on Nerdist.com, today we're going to be dealing with perhaps the most significant narrative development in this lean, mean 90-minute movie, namely the ending and the post-credit scene. With that said, obviously to talk about this, we need to spoil what happens in Venom Let There Be Carnage. And we're also going to contextualize what this means for the future of everyone's favorite symbiote. But if you prefer to read all about it, Michael Walsh has you covered over on Nerdist.com. With that said, if you haven't seen Venom Let There Be Carnage yet, make like Eddie Brock's perpetual roommate, leave for a little while, and make yourself a nice snack.
Excuse me?
Alright, let's get into it, shall we? The big reason we're talking about Venom Let There Be Carnage's ending and post-credit scene in tandem is that they flow into each other seamlessly while setting up the future of Venom both in the cinematic universe formerly known as the SPUMC and another much more prominent cinematic universe, the MCU. But more on that in just a moment.
What the
During their climactic showdown at the Cathedral, Cletus Cassidy, the Carnage symbiote, and Francis Barrison, aka Shriek, all seemingly die as a result of getting decapitated, getting eaten alive, and getting crushed by a gigantic church bell, respectively. Now, I say seemingly die because these movies are based on comic books after all, and as we all know, no one in comics stays dead for very long unless they're named Uncle Ben. As for poor Detective Mulligan, his reward for having the ever-loving crap beaten out of him for 90 minutes straight is that he gets infected with a symbiote all his own. Left for dead atop the cathedral, his eyes glow bright blue, signaling to many comic book fans that he may return in a future Venom outing as Toxin, the offspring of the Carnage symbiote, and one of the most powerful symbiotes this side of Null, the primordial god of darkness, who created the symbiotes in the comics way back when. First appearing in 2004's Venom vs. Carnage #2, Toxin's arrival could signal their teeing up encounters with elder gods like Chthon, or even Null in future stories based on the comic book storylines in which Toxin is involved. Of course, as with everything, only time will tell, and it may be quite some time considering what happens next to our hero. Having alienated the cops and putting themselves smack dab on the radar of everyone from the feds to scientists in Area 51, Eddie and Venom decide they're not safe in San Francisco anymore. They want to keep being lethal protectors, however 90s it may sound, but first they take a well-deserved vacation. We next see them in an undisclosed tropical location where they can kick back, relax, and presumably let Venom chomp heads like they're juicy mangoes full of phenethylamine. That's where the movie proper ends, leaving us full of hope for the future and delightfully juxtaposing the horror of Venom with the beauty of the landscape. However, the post-credit scene changes everything, quite literally. We pick up with Venom and Eddie watching a Spanish-language telenovela in a dingy hotel room. Clearly, they've been there for a little while because Venom is deeply invested in all the show's storylines. At one point, Venom says he's going to reveal some of the vast secrets of the cosmos that he and the other symbiotes have amassed over the years, and he promises to blow Eddie's mind.
Wow!
But just as Venom's about to spill these space beans, the entire room begins to shake, shimmer, and finally it's engulfed in a blinding blast of orangey yellow light. When the light subsides, though, everything is different, and I do mean everything. Eddie and Venom are no longer in a grimy motel, they're in a luxurious hotel room at a tropical resort complete with a folded towel animal on their giant bed. The telenovela is replaced by an English language broadcast of something familiar. It's J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, complaining about how that spider menace must be stopped. But not just any spider menace, just as we saw in the final moments of Spider-Man Far From Home and during the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, he's revealing that Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker. And yes, folks, it is Tom Holland's Spider-Man on the screen there, meaning that Venom has officially crossed the multiverse from Sony's Spider-Man universe into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The way I see it, we can do whatever we want.
Now, as many people are wont to do when Tom Holland appears on screen, Venom immediately licks the TV, obviously entranced by this newfound friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Don't worry though, I'm sure that won't have any lasting repercussions or make any more problems for Peter Parker. He'll be fine.
What the
The scene ends with the universe's actual guest coming out of the bathroom and asking what the hell Eddie and Venom are doing in his room. Well, based on what we just saw, the answer is going to be finding Peter Parker post-haste. And I know it's tempting to put on a vibranium foil hat and go off the deep end, but the likeliest answer here is that this is the direct result of Peter Parker and Doctor Strange tampering with the stability of space-time when they cast that dangerous spell in the Sanctum Sanctorum's magical murder basement. Now, we know that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to deal with the fallout of tearing a hole in the multiverse in an effort to rewrite reality to protect Peter Parker's identity. The hue of light that engulfs Venom and Eddie is very similar to the kind of eldritch magic that Doctor Strange uses. And we already know that iconic Spider-Man villains from previous Spider-Man cinematic universes like Jamie Foxx as Electro and Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus, amongst others, are going to be going up against the MCU's Peter Parker in No Way Home. So all of this stands to reason that now we're going to see Tom Hardy's symbiotic goo boy also appear in that movie. You gotta remember, Tom Hardy was wearing a Spider-Man No Way Home hat in a recent press appearance, which also added further fuel to that speculative fire. So maybe that darkened shot of a giant murky figure about to leap out and grab Peter in the Sanctum wasn't the Lizard as many of us speculated, but rather, it could be Venom. After all, Venom has been a card-carrying member of the Sinister Six over the years, but he does have a tendency to kind of go rogue and derail their plans in the process. But that's a problem for the other Sinister Five to solve somewhere down the line. Now, this also helps to explain why we saw Adrian Toomes in the Morbius trailer, a movie that's been coming out for so long, it feels like a bigger fever dream than Eddie Brock eating a raw lobster in the first Venom movie. Now, whether this is a one-off appearance by Tom Hardy's Venom in the MCU remains to be seen, but remember, when Sylvie killed He Who Remains in Loki, it kickstarted the multiverse. That means multiple variants of the same character across cinematic universes are totally fair game. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? Some kind of clone saga? Anyway, folks, there you have it. That is everything you need to know about Venom's ending and post-credit scene, and namely what they could mean for the future of both of these cinematic universes. We'll have more Venom, Spider-Man, and Marvel content coming out in the days ahead for you on Nerdist.com, but in the meantime, folks, tell us, what did you think of Venom Let There Be Carnage? What do you think that post-credit scene means for the future of this universe and the MCU? And what do you want to see from Venom 3?
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.